20 seconds.
It is December 12th, 2019, 7 o'clock, and I'd like to call the meeting to order. Before we begin, I'd like to do the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I have a couple of additions to the agenda. The first being authorization to extend the intermunicipal agreement for procurement with Dutchess County. The second is permission to put out an RFP for the fueling station up at the highway garage. And the third will just be a short few comments on the NDP contract, which has just been signed by Armenia Dover Northeast and NDP to cover the years 2020 to 2024. Before I get into the heart here of the meeting, being not a great orator, I will try and read what I've written, which may be worse yet, I don't know. This is the last time I will be addressing you as supervisor, and as such, I would like to take a few minutes to recognize the people who have made my time here easier. First, it has been a pleasure to work with this town board, as well as the members of past town boards on which I have served. I have always felt a close relationship with each and every board member. Never have I felt that considerations other than what was best for the town had been a factor influencing any decision. I am especially glad to know that I can leave knowing that the town of Northeast is in good hands. I want to say a special thanks to two people. First is former supervisor and my deputy supervisor, John Merwin, who has been there daily to keep me in line. He has been my sounding board for ideas, pointing out where I was wrong or a better way of pursuing it. Actually, often I would argue the opposite of what I truly believe to see what better arguments he might have.
He's a good debater, by the way.
The second person I must thank is Lorna Sherman, who has been a wealth of information and assistance. Coming into office, the first thing a supervisor realizes is how little he really knows. Past administrations, activities, actions can be completely unknown. Thankfully, we have a person who is not only extremely efficient and knowledgeable and can keep the supervisor on track, but who knows where everything is located and when it is needed. Of course, I can't forget the people who make up the workforce at Town Hall. Their dedication and work ethic are what keeps our town operating, and we owe them a debt of gratitude. Next, I want to thank the many boards and committees that make up the heart of our town government. There are actually too many boards and committees to mention each individually, but in combination, their decisions are what keep the town moving forward. It is not often you can get people to work for nothing, but that is exactly what we ask of each of these members to do. I know it is trite to say, but they are the true unsung heroes of our town. Also, I have to recognize Debbie Middlebrook and thank her for bringing the town and village relations to its current position. Lastly, as I move into a new phase of life, I will look back with special pride on two things. First, that I had the honor and opportunity to serve my country. And second, that I had the honor and opportunity to serve my community. with that, we will move on.
I just need you to make a motion to accept the agenda as amended.
Can I have a motion with those corrections and additions to accept the agenda? Made by Ralph Fidelli, seconded by
Sure.
Chris Cannon. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So I've got a couple of comments.
Yeah.
At this point, today is the last regularly scheduled town board meeting of the year, and therefore it's a really good time for us to express our appreciation for those who are going to be leaving town hall at the end of the year. First, I'd like to say a few words about Lisa Cope, our town clerk. Lisa has been working for the town since 2005, according to my limited research, and was first elected clerk in 2013 and was reelected in 2015. Since then, she's been the face of town government, helping our residents with everything from marriage certificates to hunting licenses to tax payments, all while keeping the town's records in order and doing so with a smile on her face. Lisa, this little plaque is a token of the town's appreciation for your service to the town.
Thank you.
Next, I'd like to say a word about John Merwin, my table neighbor here. As everyone knows, John was previously on the town board in the 1990s. He must have missed being in town hall, as he then prepared for his second time round as councilman by first serving as supervisor. Few people know the town as well as John Merwin. And few have better or funnier stories to tell than John. At some point, get John to describe what happened to Airport Road. I'm guessing that there's some of you who don't even know that the town once had Airport Road. John has kept the town board meetings collegial and constructive.
Not with a police officer present. I won't tell the story.
It's a good story, though. And one of his specialties is making sure that every member of the board makes their fair share of motions and seconds. John, you may already have a collection of these, but here is another plaque in recognition of your service to the town of Northeast over 3 decades.
Well, thank you very much.
Then we come to George Kay, Supervisor Kay, former Councilman Kay, and before that, a member of the town's ZBA. As I get ready to assume his role, I am becoming more and more aware of just how many issues, how many emails, how many problems end up on the supervisor's desk. From my perspective, the town of Northeast has been very fortunate to have had George Kay as its supervisor. With his good humor, his calm demeanor, and his willingness to hear all points of view, even if he might disagree with some of them, he has represented the town well. Between his time as councilman and his time as supervisor, he will have endured well over 100 meetings of the town board, probably closer to 200, and countless other meetings. But George has also managed to maintain his priorities, so don't go looking for George during the first 2 weeks of hunting season. This is a plaque for you, George, which I'm going to bring down and deliver to you in person.
Thank you.
And very carefully protected. And it says, just so that everybody can, in appreciation of George Kay, Town of Northeast, Town Board and Supervisor, 2012 to 2019. In addition, I arranged to have a picture taken of the town board. And as a special gift from the town board to you, here's a framed
Thank you.
picture, which I'm sure is going to have a very prominent place in your home. Whenever you wax nostalgic.
I'll remember why I don't want to Thank you very much.
Copies of the picture without the frame. All right. Now we're going to get down to business.
First, do we have any comments on agenda items only? Next, moving on to department and committee reports. I see we have our police representative here.
Just take one and pass it down here. Sure. All right. So for the 2019 November incidents, we had a total of 29 incidents. 16 were in the village, 13 were in the town. In those incidents, there were 2 arrests in the village and 1 arrest in the town. And that compares to November of 2018, there was a total of 28 incidents and 7 arrests included in those. So, that's all I got.
Any questions, comments? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Next, Bob.
We have the 2020 sealed bid results. And the recommendations are in bold. There's small increases across the board. Nothing that's going to have a negative effect on the 2020 highway budget.
Thank you.
Questions?
We're going through our salt and sand.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, we had an early start.
Very busy.
Salt is the same price as it was last year, is it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that hasn't gone up. The only good thing. Any other questions concerning the bid prices? If not, can I have a motion from the board to accept the prices?
So moved.
Made by John Merwin, seconded by
Second.
John Midwood. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Bob. I don't believe we have an assessor's report this evening. Planning and zoning.
That was emailed.
Did town clerk have a report this
My
evening?
report's there with the dog control officer,
Okay,
and I would just like to thank the town board and the residents of town Northeast for giving me the opportunity to serve here and be a part of the Northeast Town Hall for so many years. I really, truly appreciate it, and I really love my community.
next is setting the holiday schedule for town employees. Usually Christmas kind of falls close to a weekend. We can give kind of a long weekend. It falls in the middle of the week this year, unfortunately. My suggestion is, and it's up to the board, is that we give off Christmas Eve day as well as Christmas. If anyone has any objection or any other ideas. If not,
Sounds good.
Yeah.
if not, then can I have a motion to, made by Ralph Fidelli, seconded by Chris Kennan, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, I'd like to set the 2020 reorg meeting date and time, and I'll leave that to Chris to explain when he wants to do that.
Well, we are proposing to set it for the, as it was this year, for the 2nd of January. And I believe that the time that we set it for last year was 5 p.m. I'm also going to suggest that we have a brief swearing in right before it. And Justice Casey McCabe has agreed to be here at that time for that. So
Very good.
4:45, we would have a swearing in of newly elected people.
And a snow date?
Snow date the following day,
Same time?
same time.
Can I have a motion to accept that date and time?
I'll make it.
Made by Chris Kennan, seconded by John Midwood. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next is the authorization to extend the intermunicipal agreement for procurement with Dutchess County. What this is Dutchess County can sometimes buy in quantity things such as copy paper, other items that then we can buy from them at a slightly reduced price. Where it's used even more is in the process of putting out our RFPs, proposals, that type of thing. The county will allow us, will go over our RFPs, proposals, to make sure that they match with what the county requires, and also allows us to put it on BidNet and on the state site, so that there's a possibility of getting more bidders to apply for this. So I would like to extend that agreement for another year. Can I have a motion to do that?
So moved.
Made by Ralph Fidelli, seconded by Chris Kennan.
Missing
You
a
gotta be
schedule,
fast,
Chris.
John.
All in favor?
Fast.
Aye.
Aye. Next is permission to put out an RFP for the fueling station. And Lisa, I believe you have from Ray a short.
Hi, George. As per discussion, just wanted to include this. Authorize CPL, architect, engineers, and planners to place the fuel storage, fuels management project out to competitive bid in accordance with town law and Dutchess County Central Services Department requirements. Coordinate public notification, give public notice to bidders, and will open at the town hall at a date and time that shall be coordinated with the town clerk. Such bid documents and proposed contract documents shall be available for public inspection for deposit prior to the bid date.
Can I have a motion to put out the RFP for the fueling station?
So moved.
Made by John Merwin, seconded by
Second.
John Midwood. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Actually, I'm a little surprised. I had thought that, okay, then before I get to that, let me just give a brief thing on, we have finally been able to sign the NDP contract for ambulance service. There has been, and I explained once before in a previous meeting that while we had originally were able to get reduce the initial costs that they had proposed to us, from 350,000 to 340,000, and their annual raise from 4% to 2%. One of the issues that arose was that they had not included a umbrella policy within in their plan. After consultation with our insurance agent, it was felt that this was a necessity. And after going back to them, originally we had asked for a $5 million umbrella policy. One has to realize that the ambulance companies operating in Dutchess County are not, I don't know how to put it in other words, other than in extremely good financial shape. One has already gone out of service. Others are barely making it. After discussions with the county, after discussions with NDP, we had reduced the $5 million to a $3 million umbrella policy. Originally, I had hoped that NDP might be able to undertake that, the cost for that $3 million policy, but that was really more than they could bear. They offered to do 25%. I felt that that wasn't quite enough. I enlisted the assistance of Dutchess County to come in and help us, and we were able to get it to 33. The remainder was divided up among the three towns: Dover, Amenia, and New England and Northeast. This was the best that I think we could possibly have done. We had hoped for something better, but I don't think. I think to have pushed any further would have pushed them out of business, and that would. And since they're the only ones that can service our area, it would have done us no good. So we have now a policy for the next 4 years, running from 2020 to 2024, with a renewal on that of 2% per year for the following 5 years. So I actually am, while I would like to have seen them carry a little more of the burden on the umbrella policy, I actually think that we made out pretty well on it. Since we've already had a vote on that, fortunately we don't have to take a vote on that today. Next on the agenda is the American Legion request to speak on their sign issue. And I believe we're ready for you.
I'll move it. Caught me scribbling notes fast and furious out there. I apologize. Good evening, everybody. You'll have to forgive me. I was preparing for tonight with a 1-year-old puking all over me all day, so not as quite as organized as I would like to have been. So once again, for the record, my name's Sean Clay. I'm currently the post adjutant and historian over at the Legion Post here in town. So first off, for those of you who won election and re-election, congratulations. For those of you who didn't, my condolences, and thank you for your service to the town and the community. And for those of you retiring, job well done. So, that said, first off, let's do some floor space here for just a second. So the first thing I would like to present is part one. The Legion has been taking signatures for petition requesting that the town board consider amending as appropriate the town sign ordinances in order to accommodate the style sign that the Legion has in front of the post. I won't go over too crazy, but that's essentially the bottom line up front. There's roughly about 120, 125-ish signatures on there. Forgive me, I didn't get an exact count. More to come. And that said, I will make the observation that some of you will notice that, and you will notice that not necessarily all the signatures are from here in Town Northeast Village of Millerton, as our post particularly does have a number of members that reside throughout the tri-state area. So you'll see a number from Salisbury, Lakeville, I live personally up in Copiague, so on and so forth. So, so you will notice that. So I'd like to just address that up front. So that's essentially the first piece, unless anybody has any questions, comments, concerns, gripes, complaints, other pertinent commentary. Okay, cool, seeing none. So that's the first thing. Now the second thing, I just want to make sure, just for my clarification and edification here, that I fully understand this next point I'd like to address. When the Legion was before the ZBA, and then 2 months ago in October, the last time I was here before you, one of the concerns brought up was the Greenway Compact. Okay. Now, I just want to make sure I'm clearly understanding the concern here. As I understand it, one of the apparent stipulations within the Greenway Compact is that because of the style sign that the Legion currently has in front of the post, that funding would be potentially in jeopardy as a result. Any Greenway Compact funding. Am I understanding the concern correctly?
The Greenway Compact does not allow for LED signs or internally lit signs.
Okay.
And Warren can correct me if I'm wrong on this.
Okay.
Well, they don't have any, there's no mandate. I mean, they don't preempt our local zoning, but the essential aspect of the Greenway guidelines has to do with elimination and prohibition of internally lit and LED signs. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So that kind of clarifies for me, because I just spent the better part of the last 2 months, on top of all the other fun things I get to do, doing a lot of late night reading. And so I actually read through, and it's very dry reading, I might add, the entire original 1991 Act. In addition to a lot of the other supporting documentation that exists on the government website and the Greenway Compact website, read through the Dutchess County portion of the Greenway Compact. And what I didn't see, and this is why I was asking for the clarification, is that I did not see any sort of prohibition on it. But that said, what I did notice was definitely, and as they phrase it, it says the Greenway Compact program is a smart growth strategy consistent of initiatives across the country that have been endorsed by a broad coalition of national environmental organizations, public officials, farm advocates, new urbanists, builders associations, and group representing developers. It then goes on to say, smart growth programs being practiced in many other areas of the states by providing regional perspective, but stressing action at the local level by encouraging priority growth areas and focused development in well-planned patterns rather than random sprawl, and relying on incentives and guidelines, not rigid requirements. So I kind of interpreted that as being, okay, this is a guidance, this is intent, this is basically, hey, you know, for this region of the country, or this region of the state in this case, we would like to see X.
but we're not necessarily completely constraining you from independent action as local boards see fit. All right, that's how I interpreted that guidance that they have stipulated. Now, further on, particularly in the Dutchess County document, where it does get speaking to signage particularly, one of the things that I did notice is that, sign standards cannot regulate content, which is something, a point we addressed last time, but can limit size, location, number of signs, and even number of words, all legitimate concerns for community appearance. Okay, got it. It does basically try to convey intent and style of signage, but does not necessarily prohibit any type of signage. All right, so there's, as I see it, wiggle room. So I just wanted to throw that out there for the board's edification and pondering. I would, if you haven't recently taken a look at it, I would actually encourage each of you to do so and just kind of refresh yourself. What's interesting is that in none of the documentation that I have come across does it explicitly speak to anything, at least not that I have found, and if anybody happens to find, please send it my way, because I would actually enjoy reading it, being the geek that I am. Anything that actually prohibits this style of signage, flat out. I have not found anything in that vein. Now I could see how, based on what they have published and what I have read, how it could be interpreted that way completely. But I have not found anything that explicitly states it. So, like I said, if you happen to find it, send it my way.
Bethlehem ruling.
Well, like I said, send it my way. I would enjoy reading it. But to that end, okay, just driving around our lovely little area, okay, and at least here within Dutchess County, the only town. So let me back up here for a second. So there's basically two flavors of the Greenway Compact. You have the Greenway Compact, and then you have Greenway Communities, and then Greenway Compact Communities. Okay. Now within Dutchess County, the only municipality that is not a Greenway Compact community is Stanford. Okay. The rest of the municipalities, to include the county, are actually Greenway Compact communities. That said, even within Dutchess County itself, off the top of my head, I can tell you Pine Plains, Dover, and LaGrange all have within their jurisdictional boundaries signs of the like and style that the Legion has within their borders, spanning businesses, government agencies, and nonprofits. So my question and what I would ask the town board to look into is the way I would interpret, based on what I've read and what I've seen myself, I would ask the town board to look, what did those communities do to do that? You know, what have they done, or what haven't they done? I'm just throwing it out there. I haven't gone that far into the rabbit hole myself yet. Don't worry, I will, as much as I'm able to. Also, within other communities that are just Greenway communities, such as Southeast, they also have businesses with signs out, right along 22. One of them being a car wash just before you get through Brewster out to the start of 684. Again, there's another business right there that has that style of signage, actually even bigger than the one we've got. So again, I just want to throw that out there for the town board's edification on this and for consideration. Forgive me while I quickly look at my notes. There was one more thing I wanted to say. My apologies, my last point is escaping me. So that said, I was hoping, do not see him here. I was hoping our attorney was going to be able to make it tonight, but he did let me know that he was having a conflict at the last minute, so he apologized, but, so I was hoping at least to have you all meet him. That said, any concerns, issues, questions, I'm more than willing to entertain and or take back to the executive, post-executive committee.
I think you've given us some things to think about and to look into. Certainly tonight, I don't see any way that we can give you any kind of a,
No, understood, and
but it's something that I think we'll need to consider and you know, take a look at.
okay. All right. Thank you for your time, and Ralph, if you would be so kind as to
Bob already has it.
you know, blast it my way anyway. You know, as we advance in age, there's this thing called CRS, so. And I am just as guilty of it at the young, tender age of 38, so. All right, well, gentlemen, ladies, thank you for your time.
Thank you,
And,
Sean.
look forward to continuing dialogue as we go forward.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is approval of the building department's fee schedule for 2020. Basically, the fees have not changed a great deal. There are certain updates on fees that may not have been included in previous schedules, but otherwise it's pretty much the same. That being said, can I have a motion to approve the fee schedule?
So moved.
Made by Ralph Fidelli, seconded by Chris Kennan. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're gonna keep track. Ralph can keep score. Just email to us.
Next is, we have a budget adjustment, number 8 for 2019, dated December 12th, 2019. A fund, expense increase of $2,271, less a revenue increase of minus $271. B fund, an expense increase of $1,045, less a revenue increase of minus $1,045. DV fund, an expense increase of $15,670, minus a revenue increase of $15,670. Can I have a motion to accept the budget adjustment?
So moved.
Made by John Merwin, seconded by
Second.
John Midwood. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have a special abstract dated November 20th, 2019, totaling $22,300.95, broken down as follows. A fund, $395. B fund, $23,000. Can I have a motion to accept the special abstract?
So moved.
Motion made by Ralph Fidelli, seconded by Chris Kennan. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
we have to read this into the record too.
Oh, yeah. That's
For under here,
gonna be
yeah.
in there. We have a special abstract dated December 3rd, 2019, totaling $65,931, broken down as follows. A fund, $30,988. B fund, $7,252. DB fund, $27,591. Can I have a motion to accept the special abstract?
So moved.
Made by Chris Kennan, seconded by
Second.
Ralph Fidelli. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I have an abstract dated December 12th, 2019, totaling $368,466.56, broken down as follows. A fund, $40,984.41. B fund, $856.81. DV fund, $302,436.03. Capital Projects H1, $23,989.41. TNA 2 escrow, $175. Payroll TNA, $24.90. Can I have a motion to accept the abstract?
So moved.
Made by John Merwin, seconded by
Second.
Ralph Fidelli. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. The voucher committee for January 20th.
By process of elimination.
So it is John Midwood and Ralph Fidelli. Going back here, I failed to mention at the beginning the presentation by Jon Arneson to the town board of the draft law for signs will not be made tonight. Jon was unable to make it. There is still some areas of the law that are being worked on. We currently plan to have a meeting, special meeting on Monday the 30th of December to go over that law, and we will set at that time a public hearing date for it. And it will be posted on the website.
Could we ask Warren who has looked at Jon's draft, to give us a sense of
Sure.
what's
Yep.
in it?
I did, and I actually thought I would have the draft tonight, and then when I started putting what the committee had recommended into a change in our sign law section, which is section 9845 of the law, I found it very difficult, and had to communicate with Jon, and now I think I have it straightened out. And then when I looked for a Word copy of his recommendations, I realized he had sent it to my old email, so I have to get a new copy of that. So the short of it is that the changes to the sign law are not that dramatic. A lot of it is reformatting and adding some additional language, taking out some provisions that the committee was concerned that may be subject to scrutiny for, that may be a challenge to free speech. They've changed a couple of those things. Taking certain sections of the law and putting it into another section, I found that a little hard to follow. I finally figured out what they were doing. I'm totally in agreement with everything they've done. You need to know that they have not recommended any changes to the LED provision. That remains the same. And that's also supported by the comprehensive plan. I don't think you'll find any of the other provisions, very controversial. The separated temporary signs, permitted signs into temporary and permanent signs, things like that. But nothing I didn't think that was, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know how substantive you thought it was. But nothing that I had any problems with. It's just a matter of trying to reformat that into the 2009 amendments to the zoning law, to the sign law. I did have one issue that I wanted to discuss with you because Yona and I had discussed it. Maybe while Julie's here, she can give us some input on that. We do have a section of the law with regard to, of the existing law with regard to amortization of non-conforming signs. And just so you understand what a non-conforming sign is, a non-conforming sign is a sign that was put into effect on a piece of property legally through either prior to zoning existing or when the zoning was different and the sign was permitted under the old zoning, but now it's not permitted. Either something that was permitted,
Billboard,
not permitted because of the new law. We call those non-conforming signs. And non-conforming uses.
Just to be clear, that therefore, we're not talking about the sign at the American Legion.
No, unfortunately.
Just to be, just want to be,
That would really be easy.
I want people to be really clear that what you're talking about is not that sign.
No, if for example, the 2009 amendments to the sign law, there have been several amendments over the years. One in 2011, one in 2009, another one prior to that. The 2009 amendments to the sign law really was the amendment that changed and incorporated the LED and internally illumination prohibitions into the law. If assuming, and I didn't double check it, assuming that LED and internally lit signs were permitted prior to 2009, if the American Legion had come in and gotten a permit for a sign and it was approved, that wouldn't become a non-conforming sign after the 2009 law. So unfortunately, that would be an easy fix to the solution to the problem, but it's not. So the American Legion sign is not a legal sign. Okay, and we have to grapple with how we're going to deal with that, and I'm assuming that we're going to try to take some time out on the meeting on the 30th to do that. But we have a provision in our law which amortizes out non-conforming signs. I don't know, are you aware of that?
Oh, yes.
Has that been enforced?
No.
No, okay.
A lot of that has.
I was wondering whether and basically it's a very complex procedure for doing an inventory of non-conforming signs. And part of it is the enforcement responsibility of zoning.
And I don't know, because of the building inspectors in here, apparently they did do an inventory.
Did they?
And they sent out notices, you had to register your signs.
Did we get any responses?
Yes.
We did, okay.
No, I mean, this has come up before,
But that was
and I've asked at
when that was
meetings,
drafted.
did you register your sign?
Right. Yeah, but that's not
So
the,
whack.
Julie, was that billboards?
It's primarily billboards, but it could apply to any.
but that's not the problem. The inventory is the easy part. The hard part is then there are certain provisions in there for amortizing these out, eliminating them. And that becomes very difficult to enforce. And when I saw that again, it struck me because we had one in town, Hyde Park had an amortization section in the law for many years, and it was really causing problems in enforcement, and it was very controversial, and so the Hyde Park took that out of their law. So I'm wondering whether we might want to, maybe this is something we can discuss at the meeting, take that out of the law if it's not being enforced. If the zoning enforcement officer that tells us it's a really good idea and it's working, you know, maybe we could rethink that.
I think it's just in there, and I don't think anybody's ever.
Yeah, and I don't know how the committee felt about that, but I did speak to Yon about it, and he said he was concerned about that section also, so he felt that that was open to discussion.
I don't think we discussed it at all.
Yeah, but it was included, it wasn't changed in the new law, but there was a note from Jan says, maybe we should just consider changing this. So he and I talked about a different way of approaching non-conforming signs so that they're permitted to exist, but if they come in for an amendment or a new sign, or they're removed and replaced, then we do have a requirement that they come in for a special permit and try to conform, get them to conform to the new sign laws. And that's what we did in Hyde Park. So I can get that provision and maybe send it on to the committee, and we'll see if we want to substitute that. But other than that, nothing really dramatic or substantive. And I probably could have had this done tonight if I had the Word version, but I'll certainly have it for you very shortly, within a few days, as soon as I get it, and then we'll have it for the meeting to discuss. I don't know if there's any questions about.
So we could have it, so we can post it on the town's website?
Yes. But subject to the fact that it's just a draft.
Right.
Because it may change. Yeah,
Yeah, but in advance of the December 30th
Definitely.
meeting.
for sure. Assuming has it in, well, if he doesn't have it in Word, then we just allow typing to do,
Yeah.
hoping he has it in Word.
I think we have a question.
Will there be a decision made at the December 30th meeting?
I'm sorry?
No,
Will there be a decision made at the December 30th meeting?
no. We have to have a public hearing that will probably be announced at that meeting as to when the public hearing would be.
And the public hearing will be part of the town board meeting or a separate?
Yes, part of the town board meeting.
Has to go to
So
the
how do we
county.
know what happens at the
year.
December 30th meeting, the discussion that goes on there?
You can come to it.
It's an open meeting.
It's an open meeting.
It's an open meeting. It's a special meeting.
Thank you.
The only
Everyone
decision
is
that would be
welcome.
made would be to move forward with the adoption process. And the adoption process would require scheduling a public hearing.
Has to go to the county also, doesn't it? It has to be referred to the county.
We have to refer to the
Yes,
county,
Does it-
That's another.
And there's a secret process as well?
and there's a secret process too. Although this may be exempt under, it may be exempt under seeker. I'll have to check. They've made some changes to seeker, and I don't know to what extent they've expanded the type 2 provisions of the seeker. I don't, but it's not an extensive review no matter what, because it's a legislative act, so we don't get too much into the environmental aspects of it. So, but if it's required to be, then I'll have a secret form, a full EAF, because it would be a type 1 action under secret. So that's it. I mean, I think the committee should be congratulated. They did a very good job. And sorry I didn't have it for tonight, but we certainly will have it probably in the next few days for you. And then we'll have it for the meeting.
Warren, is there anything else that we need to discuss in?
I just one. Let's see. You had mentioned something about the Schaefer Road. Man, I haven't heard anything
Yeah.
from any of the people.
Bob, were you able to, I know they were saying that they wanted to speak to Warren about liability issues on that. Have you heard anything more?
I left the gentleman a voicemail, but I haven't heard back from him.
Okay.
Okay. So that if they want to pursue it, they need to get in touch with me, because I have a lot of questions about the road and the neighboring property owners, to see if that's a possibility. The only other thing, I don't know whether you wanted to go into executive session on contractual on the issue of the highway garage and.
That's something maybe we should consider.
Okay, I think probably a good idea. So that's all I have.
with that, let's finish up, first of all, the meeting. We're almost done with that anyway, and then we can go into. Are there any general comments on anything? Yes, Bill?
I've got 2 items, so okay. Town hall lights is the first question. We had a grant, I believe, to update the lighting on this building.
We're still waiting. We haven't received that yet.
Okay, is there an opportunity to amend or adjust the plans for the lights? Because I reviewed them and found some issues which I can discuss with you. I mentioned them to Chris, and I think that it could be improved.
Well, the person you probably need to talk to is Dennis.
Okay,
This was a JCAP grant,
okay.
and they were the ones who submitted it, and, you
So I
know,
know Dennis.
Dennis Johnson.
Dennis Johnson.
Our
One
town
of the two.
justice.
Town Justice.
Okay, all right, so I will do that, but doesn't the town board having ownership of this building have the right to say yea or nay on the lights that were proposed?
We would have final say on it, yes.
Okay, all right, so I'll be in touch, Chris. We'll talk about that. Also, I wanted to, just to clarify some things about Greenway. So I won't talk about the specifics of the Greenway Compact and how it came to be, et cetera, but the operative document that Mr. Clay was looking at and that I think everybody should look at is the Greenway Guide prepared by Dutchess County on signs. And that was, the Greenway Guide was put together a number of years ago. It's a beautiful set of documents, but it's not completely up to date. They've been slowly updating it. So it predated LED signs. But if I can just quote a couple of things from the Greenway Guide signs page. It says, signs are often form the first and lasting impression of a place. Effective and attractive signs are especially important in areas where the economy benefits from outside visitors. Since they must provide instant information for moving vehicles, overly complex signs or cluttered groupings are dangerous distractions to drivers, allowing a self-defeating spiral towards an ugly streetscape that just repels potential customers, and it goes on like that. And then it lists some examples with pictures, it's very big on pictures, of signs that are to be encouraged and signs that are to be avoided. And specifically they say certain distracting signs should not be allowed and existing ones phased out over a set time period, such as flashing, moving, or glaring signs, and roof-mounted signs and portable signs, etc. So I don't see anything in here that would indicate that Greenway would encourage LED signs on the Boulevard District.
Anybody else? Debbie?
I just really want to say thank you to George. I know that everybody in the town appreciated everything he did, but I just have to speak for myself personally to say thank you, George. I don't know if I could have made it through that first year without your help. He was a wonderful mentor, and I just thoroughly enjoyed working with you, so thank you.
Thank you. With that, can I have a motion to move into, yes, I'm sorry,
One question.
yes.
So as it stands right now with the way the laws are written, there's no way that sign can be turned on. Is that correct?
You're asking me?
Yeah, it's anybody.
The sign is currently in violation of the zoning law.
And with whatever signage law that's being written, there's still nothing put in place for that sign to be turned on, correct?
You mean if it's turned on now?
Even after the new signage law is.
There's nothing in the recommendations of the zoning, the sign review committee that would change that.
So isn't it somewhat of an injustice that that wasn't explained to anyone at the Legion that, look, there's just no way the sign can get turned on?
That was explained at the last
I
meeting.
think we did. Has it been turned on?
No,
Oh,
No.
but they're arguing, they're trying to prove their case to have it turned on, and I'm just thinking, well, it can't get turned on. It's not going to get turned
not
on.
unless the town amends the current sign law provisions of the code.
Right. That's the issue. They could have met.
And we don't know if they're going to do that yet, right?
That's right. Okay.
So we just have to wait and see what they do. All right, okay, thank you.
And that's essentially what we're asking.
Okay.
Anyone else?
I have this letter.
And you have, yes.
It's a letter to the town board. It's regarding Winchell Mountain Road, County Road number 60. Please note that we request this letter be included in the minutes for the town board meeting of December 12th. It's from Meg Winkler and Michael Winkler and Daniel Goldhagen. In addition to our letter of June 10th, 2019, we have come before the town board on July 11th, 2019 and October 10th, 2019 to serve as a formal request for the implementation of a speed study on Winchell Mountain Road by the Dutchess County Public Works Highway Division. To date, we have not had any feedback or communications as to what, if any, efforts have been made on our behalf. This morning, we had several accidents that involved numerous cars and trucks on Winchell Mountain Road as a result of the freezing rain and ice which accumulated on the road. It is my understanding that there was no fatalities or serious injuries, which is fortunate. We requested speed signs, hidden driveway signs, as well as other advisory signs such as icy road conditions, which may help to prevent such occurrences in the future. At the October 10th board meeting, the following comments were made, which we would appreciate to know what follow-up occurred. Supervisor Kay indicated that he was going to follow up with the police the next day to understand what can be done. Has this happened, and if we know what measures the police proposed? 2, it was stated that the speed study and the state look at a number of accidents that occurred on the road. Today's accident amount to over 10 impacted cars and trucks. That's a conservative figure, as I know there are other vehicles impacted further down the road and up the road from my residence. We know of several other cars and trucks that have driven off the road in the past 2 to 3 years. 3, Supervisor Kay suggested that we look into getting a hidden driveway sign placed at our residence that are near curves in the road. What efforts have been done for this to happen? 4, Supervisor Kay mentioned that as far as trucks go, that we would be something we were able to do. What suggestions are being proposed and has been done since the October 10th board meeting to further these proposals? We continue to believe that a speed limit study is warranted given the increased traffic of cars and particularly trucks that use Winchell Mountain Road as a shortcut between US Route 22 and US Route 199, especially with the advent of GPS. We have noted several speed limits at other county roads in the area, Charlie Hill Road, Sharon Road, and Boston Corners Road, which do not have the traffic, incline, or curve that is so problematic on Winchell Mountain Road. We further note that speed limits should not be in place for just optimal conditions, but also take into consideration icy conditions like we experienced this morning and is highly frequent. Although the cost of the study, which we understand is $3,000, may be difficult for the town to bear, the cost of the manpower needed when accidents occur, which involve the police, fire department, and emergency workers, should also be factored in when making the decision, not to mention the potential loss of life or impairment thereof. We respectfully request hearing from you regarding our concerns. Below is our contact information where you may reach out to us. Sincerely, Meg and Michael Winkler and Daniel Goldhagen.
We looked into the number of accidents actually that occurred on that road, and according to our local police, there was, over the past few years, there has only been one accident there.
Prior to this one the other day.
Prior to that, and the one the other day was not necessarily due to speed, it was due to the problem of ice. What happened was, you see it usually out west in areas, one car runs into the other and the rest of them just keep piling on, and that's basically what happened in this circumstance. I have sent off an email to Steve Gill, who is traffic engineer for the Department of Traffic, Dutchess County. And it explains in there, I had Bob Stevens go out and take a look at each of the residents on Winchell Mountain Road and take into consideration what the site distance was for each of the residents there. There are several that are problematic. I have forwarded all of those to Mr. Gill for consideration of hidden drive signs. I have also asked him to put in icy, when inclement conditions, icy condition signs, so that people coming down the hill will recognize that there may well be an icing problem there. I'm waiting back for a reply from that, and as soon as I hear something, I will be able to give more information on it.
Can I just make a comment on that, George?
Yes.
I'm quite familiar with the icy conditions on Winchell Mountain Road, as I've had to divert traffic several evenings.
Yeah.
I know out of 296, Winchell Mountain Road is a major drainage problem. Water comes off that hill, drains out. The rest of the mountain is fantastic shape. It drains out of 296, the steep driveway, and out into
Goes
the
across
road.
into the road, yeah.
Right in that
Yeah.
curve, and that's been problematic for several years. And you think the county would be familiar with that also to get it treated, but we end up having ice issues there, and then we have to call the county in special and go to the top and divert traffic and wait for the county to show up.
And I think one of the issues in this incident this past week here was the fact that the county had not been down and sanded the road.
Right, I think this storm took a lot of people by surprise with the
I think so.
amount and
Yeah.
the consistency of it.
Would a culvert there help?
What's that?
Would a culvert at that spot divert the water off the
I know
road?
it comes right off that
It
blacktop
comes off,
driveway,
yeah.
right onto the road, so I don't know if you cut a swale into the driveway or how they would take care of that.
Yeah.
Or maybe a bump, some sort of pitched speed bump type thing to hopefully divert it into the ditch a little bit more. I don't know how I'm not an engineer, so I don't know how they would handle something like that.
That's something that.
I think a speed limit would have an effect, because if you're coming down that hill at 10 miles an hour,
Down that hill at 35.
you're gonna slide all the way
with the
down.
ice, You're in the ditch, yeah.
Exactly,
So,
exactly.
Hey, George, I just might make one additional comment.
Yeah.
For those of you who have participated in our Memorial Day repast, when we go to the various cemeteries early in the morning, I would be almost inclined to concur with that recommendation for a speed limit adjustment on that road. Now, fortunately, the last number of years, we've actually had the fire police block the traffic while we're conducting the repast ceremony itself, mainly to protect us. And all those who participate coming out from the community as part of it. But prior to us having the fire police actually block the traffic at either end while we're conducting the ceremony at the top of the hill, and I think, Ralph, you've been there with us for a few of those, as I recall. There's been a couple times where we've had people come whipping up from the 199 side prior to getting to the Winchell Mountain Cemetery and almost plowing into us as a result. And then just personally, there have been a number of times where when I'm driving the family vehicle, I have been passed, and I'm dealing, usually a little under the speed limit on that road, just because it's, there's a couple points there where I would highly advise not doing the speed limit, where I have been passed by other people, either going up the hill or down the hill on that road. So. And it's happened to me more than once, and a couple of times I've taken the courtesy of informing the state police appropriately. So, I would be in concurrence in this case with a speed limit adjustment down on that road. Just food for thought.
Thank you. Any other comments on that? We will look into it and first of all, see what Dutchess County has to say on it and then consider how we're going to proceed on it. I believe that concludes our meeting. Hmm?